Alright, so now we have our drawing set up. Coordinate data is set, units are set, and we're ready to start adding GIS data. So first thing we're going to add, we're going to go in our task pane, data, connected data. This is going to be a a vector shapefile, which has the outlines of the counties in the state of Pennsylvania. So let's just call this counties, source file and folder. So one of the notes that you need to be aware of, when you talk about XREFs with AutoCAD, you have the flexibility of setting relative paths versus absolute paths. Unfortunately, GIS data is always an absolute path. So you need to remember this if you're going to connect to information and try and make your drawing portable, take it home with you, different location. If this data is saved on a shared folder someplace, when you go to the other location, it's going to be missing. So browse to our PA County shapefile, open it, connect, and you'll notice that we have both the identity of the data set as well as the coordinate system. Since we have a drawing coordinate system assigned, it should be able to translate this properly. So add the map, and I get the basic outline of the state and all the counties with just a very basic default theming. So at this point, there's a couple things we can do. We could have done this in that prior step, but to query down to the region that we're interested in. So let's make a query that encompasses sort of the adjacent counties to Philadelphia. So what I can do is right-click on the PA County dataset, and I have this option to query to filter data. So the next go-round, when I attach data, I'll show you how to query while you're attaching. So what I want to do is filter the features by their location, and then I'm going to choose touching any part of a rectangle, and I'm going to draw a simple rectangle that just touches all the adjacent counties and encompasses Philadelphia. Say OK, and we've narrowed down our data set. So next thing is, I don't want these as solid fills, I'd like these just as outlines, and I want to start turning on map labels. So to do this, I'm going to edit the style of this data set. So edit style, brings up my style editor, and I have my default style, which I'm going to change. We'll get in a little bit when we have multiple values, we can start applying themes, but for this one, I'm going to select solid, change this fill to no color, or without actually, you could either change it to no color, change the color as we want it to appear, or in this case, since we're eliminating the fill, I can just go ahead and highlight it and click the X button. So then we want the outlines, just for the sake of clarity so we can see it easy. I'm going to make these cyan, apply, close, and if I collapse the style editor, you'll see now that I have just the outline of the counties. So in our next step, let's say that we also want labels turned on for these counties. So expand my style editor again. So we have two label options. I have a legend label, which would be if I create a legend somewhere off to the side, and a feature label. So let's go to feature label, size context, device. If this isn't intended to be printed out, but just as a map for reference on the screen, we can leave this as device as this pertains to the computer monitor or relative to the map. So I'm going to choose map, I'm going to choose feet, and again, I mentioned before, but be careful of this because when I add label, there's a very good chance this may revert back. And as you'll notice, it does go to inches. In the case of this, we obviously need this in something bigger than inches. So let's do feet. And for feet value, let's just go ahead and say that this is a very exaggerated value for counties. So let's do 10,000. Text content. So static text would be put this exact static value for all. So if I were to apply this, close this, you'll notice that it just says text. It's not intelligent to the data set. So if I want to see what properties we're actually going to display, I'm going to highlight one of these regions, right-click, do show data table. Other option to bring that up is this data table toggle right in the task pane. So we now have the column headers. So based on this, I can tell that it's the county name property that I want displayed as a label. So I'm going to come back in here to my editor, feature label, double click, change from static text. I apologize, to county name. Okay, so in this list, scroll up, and here we have county name. Size seemed appropriate, but what you notice is it was black here before, so I want to change the color of the text itself. So to do this, we have next to the size color value, I'm going to set this to magenta or cyan as well. Apply, close the style editor, and you'll now notice we have labels that are appropriate to the counties. Just to demonstrate one more time, and for the sake of decreasing the size a little bit, let's take those down a little bit and cut those sizes in half. So let's just do 5,000. You'll notice that I just type it in, and at this point I don't have apply, so I can either click into any other field or hit tab, and at that point I get the apply option. Close my style. That's probably a little bit more reasonable size for a label. So we've now attached data, queried it down, and applied some very, very simple styling for this example.